Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of week 28. In this lesson, we are going to look at how to raise error conditions with the signal and ReSignal statement. In MySQL, you can use signal statements to return an error or a warning condition to a caller from a stored program. And we're going to illustrate this using stored procedure. So let's start. For this, I'm going to create a stored procedure. A new stored procedure, and what I want to do with this stored procedure is to maybe select the total number of rentals from a customer. And for this, let's look at the tables that we can use for this. We have the rental table. Let's use Secular, and I will say select all from rental. So let's look at the table columns. So we have customer ID here, and the customer ID allows duplicate IDs, which means that for every time that the customer rents a film, the customer's record is inserted here to give us the rental ID, the date it was rented, and all the information about the rental. So what I want to do now is to create a stored procedure, use the signal statement for error handling or to raise error conditions, and I want it to return, if successful, the total number of rentals that a particular customer has had. So let's start. So we're going to create a new stored procedure. For this, I'll create a procedure, and I'm going to call this procedure get customer rental. So let's create a comment here, because if we redo it, we want to recreate. So I'll drop procedure before I create. We can use if not exist statements to make sure we get that. Get customers rental. So I'm just dropping before I even ever create it, but I commented it out because we don't need it. Next, the delimiter. Let me use uppercase, and I want my delimiter to be maybe 2/ like this. I want to create a procedure, and my procedure name is get customers rental, like this. It takes parameters, and I want the parameter to take to use the in mode, and it just takes the customer ID parameter, and this is going to be an integer. So let's begin. We want to declare a variable before we start. We looked at this in last week's lesson, and I want to declare a variable called num customers, because I want to store the count of the rental here, and the variable is an int. I want to select count, and what I'm counting is the customer ID for a particular customer. So let's count customer ID, and I want to store it into the num customer variable that I just created, and I'm selecting this from the rental table, and I want it where the customer ID is equal to the argument passed in by the user, which is customer ID as we defined here. So you always make sure that the name of the parameter is what we are passing here in the where clause, like this. So when this is done, we want to check if the customer ID exists first. So if it doesn't exist, we want to return an error or warning condition to the caller of the program. Now we're going to look at conditional statement in the next lesson, but we're going to use the if statement here. So I want to use if here. If, now I want to say if the number of customer return, okay, let's say if the number of customer return is less than 1, that means it doesn't exist or nothing was found. We want it to tell the user or trigger an error state, and what we want it to trigger, we'll say then. So we use the if then statement. So this is how we use if statement in MySQL. We want to now use the signal statement to return the error or the warning to the caller of the program. So we want to signal SQL state, and the state for not found is 45,000, like this, I think, and want to set the message. So we'll say set message text is equal to customer ID not found in the rental table. And then the next thing we want to do now is to end if. Once we're done, we end if, and then we want when this is called, we want something to be displayed on the page, like if it's successful. So what I'll do now is to use a select statement, and so let's select the total number of customers. So that will be what will be displayed to us when successful. So to count the total number of rentals done by the particular customer that we have entered. So we'll use the count. If you've forgotten this syntax, refer back to your part 1 lessons on MySQL to know these basics. So we select count customer ID from the rental table, where the customer ID, remember the arguments that was passed is equal to customer ID, like this. And then we want to end the delimiter we are using and change it back to what the default delimiter is, the semicolon. And so this is the syntax. So let's see if all is well. The first thing we want to do is to change the default delimiter so we can use semicolon comfortably within the statement without any errors. And we create a procedure called get customer rental. This procedure takes a parameter called customer ID, so we want the user to pass in an argument for the customer ID whose total rental we want to calculate. Then I declared a variable called num-customers because I want to put in the total count into the num-customers variable that I've created. And I'm getting this from the rental table where the customer ID is equal to the customer ID passed. I want to do a sanity check to say that whenever there is a customer ID passed and we don't get anything returned from this select statement, that means we get less than 1, which is 0, or less than 0. That means nothing was returned. We want to signal a statement or want to return an error to the caller of the program saying that that customer ID does not exist. And so I use if num-customers, where is a variable that holds the total count, is less than 1, then, so this is the if-then statement in MySQL, which we are going to look at in the next lesson in detail. The signal statement is signal, and we're going to signal the whatever we want to signal, which is the SQL state of 45,000, which means that something was not found. This is the not found signal. And then we want to set the message text that the user will see as customer ID, not found in the rental table, and then we end if. And then I want it to return the total count if everything is successful, and then we end the delimiter and we define the delimiter. So I'm going to run this. So all is well, it is created. I'm going to comment this out and then I'm going to call. So we're going to call it with the call statement, call get customers rental. We don't have any customer with the ID of 0, so let's trigger this signal statement to see. So if I say call get customer rental 0, we should get an error displayed. Customer ID not found in rental table. Now this is not a handled error, it just displays it below here. Our statement customer ID not found in the rental table like we wanted. If I have like 33, we have a customer ID with 33, it should display the total count for us in a select statement like this. So we have 21 rentals from a customer whose ID is 33. So this is how to use the signal. Let's look at how to use the ReSignal statement. I'm going to use the same get customers rental table, but we're going to change this to handle the error and to ReSignal. Now take note that you can research more to see a wide application of this and different ways you can write your statements. These lessons are just to give you a head start and make you understand the syntax of how to get things done. So I want to use the ReSignal, which is the same thing as the signal. The only difference with the ReSignal is that we use a statement within an error or within a handler, and anytime we do not put it within a handler, we get an error saying ReSignal when handler is not active. So something like that. So we don't want to get that error. We want to use it within a handler. So we do the same syntax. We declare customers int, and I want to declare a condition. So instead of writing this condition out like this, let's declare it here. So let's say declare a condition called not found. Let's say like this. Declare not found condition for SQL state, and the state is 45,000 like this. And then once this is declared like this, I can come here to do the handler. So I want it to be a continue, or I can do exit handler. Well, let me use continue handler for, and the name is not found like this. And what I want to do here now is to ReSignal. So I want to ReSignal set message text is equal to customer ID does not exist. And then once this is done, we want to select count customer ID into num-customers from the rental table where the customer ID is customer ID. We still want to perform our check, but this time instead of saying signal SQL state and set message like this, we're just going to do signal, and we're going to be signaling not found that we declared it. Then we end if. We don't have to set message text here because it's already set with the ReSignal here. So we'll do if num-customer is less than 1, then signal not found. So now we're handling it and we're recreating it. Okay. So what we'll do here now is to drop the get customer rental, recreate it, all is well. We are going to now comment this out and then run this again. Now all is well because we have customer ID of 33, it gives us the count. We want to try customer of 0, and then we run, and then we have customer ID does not exist like we have in the ReSignal statement here. So this is how we use Signal and ReSignal. Research more, try to use them in different use cases, try different statements, different ways of doing the same thing. As your tables or your application gets more complicated, you have more complicated ways of doing these same things. And so this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how to use conditional statements properly in MySQL. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.